How's the cookie? You wanna know? It's the Oreo Review Show.
Happy anniversary to me. I said it on your behalf because this is the 1-year anniversary of the Oreo Review Show. Not specifically to the date, I don't remember. I just know it was roughly mid-January-ish, and that's kind of when this is coming out. So it's been around a year that I've been eating cookies on camera and hating them. A lot's changed in the past year. As you can see all around me, I cleaned up that back corner a little bit. Some of the books have shuffled around over there. You could see the J on my famous J cup. This used to be black, and now it's sort of a sad, faded purplish color. Like when a printer is running out of ink, and it's trying, but it can't quite get there. Nothing on here says that you should hand wash it. I run this thing through the dishwasher 3 times a week. I'm always drinking milk out of that sucker with my rose. So this is a very special episode. You know, normally I review an Oreo cookie so you know whether or not you want to eat it. But on the occasion of our 1-year anniversary, this is going to be a very special episode. I'm giving you a long requested video. Finally, after all this time, my personal thoughts and opinions, which will hereforth be put down as law as regards the subject of Oreos, milk, and the dunking therein thereof. In my very first Oreo review of the original classic Oreo cookie that I've got a little package of right over here for the purposes of this video, I of course covered the basic ground of how to eat a cookie, how many bites it takes, how many you should eat at a time. Normal things that all people think about in their lives, but I didn't cover milk, and now I'm going to. You can see I've already sampled most of the cookies in this package. I've been a little bit naughty. I don't play by the rules! Dunking an Oreo cookie in milk is a delicate subject. As we all know, the Oreo is a perfect cookie, but it's also milk's favorite cookie. So it's a match made in heaven if you do it properly. First big thing you have to take into consideration is, what kind of milk do you drink? Is it a 1%? Is it a 2%? Is it a whole? Is it a skim? Is it an almond? It's not an almond. Whole milk is fucked up. Don't drink whole milk. Fuck you. 1% or 2% are both very acceptable, strong choices. I've been known to sample one of those from time to time myself. By the way, 1%, 2%, not that big of a difference. I think they're splitting the market there. They should just come up with a 1.5% that would please everybody and free up the store shelves. That's just my opinion. But let me let you in on a little secret here, friends. What I got in this glass right here for this episode right here, come on. It's skim, baby. That's right, I'm going fat-free today. Oreos are enough. I gotta, come on. Think about my health. Is the flavor going to be that different with the different milk varietals? Potential. You might end up with a little more of that milky lingering flavor with the higher fat percentages. If that's what you like, then I guess do it. But me, it's about something different from that. We'll get into that later on. But now we got to get to step number 2. Once you've chosen your milk, you have to figure out, well, what do I put it in? My hands and just like that? I wouldn't recommend that for starters. A glass is good, tried and true, familiar. You've probably heard of them. I've got one right here. Now, what's important, of course, is the opening of the glass. You want it to be wide enough that you can get your Oreo dunked in there. You also don't want it to be too tall. Sometimes there's these tall, skinny glasses. You don't want that because then it's awkward. You're trying to fit stuff in there. You want a good match for the round cookie and the width, the girth of it. This is right here. That's pretty much perfect. This is the perfect glass. This is what you want in a milk glass for your Oreos. Finally, we're set up, we're established, milk is in place, cookie is in hand. This is the real test. Your index and middle finger on this side, thumb on the other side. Pretty standard. But what's really important is the positioning of the fingerage. Don't push them past the halfway point. In fact, you can see mine are well behind the halfway point. This is like almost as close to the edge of the cookie as I can get. Reasoning for that should be obvious. You don't want to get your fingers moist. Nobody likes wet fingers. Always remember, cookie wet, that's a safe bet. Fingers dry, good job, my guy. Now, all of this is very important. If you don't have pieces of this foundation set up in place the correct way, the whole thing's going to fall apart. It's like building a house. You know how when you build a house? That being said, the next step is really the most important. It's kind of a couple steps combined because it's the dunking and it's the eating. The dunking and the eating, they come very close together because once you've done one, you don't have time to think about the other. Once you've dunked it, you got to put that sucker in your mouth immediately. And here's the true dilemma of how to dunk an Oreo cookie. The reason most of you, I'm sure, are here today. The question, the debate, the controversy. How long do you hold the cookie into the milk? Do you just drop it in for a second and pull it right back out like a priest baptizing a young boy? Or do you hold it down under the milk for a good long while like a priest trying to drown a little boy? The answer, of course, lies somewhere in the middle, but mostly closer to the one side that I like. And that's quick. You don't want a soggy cookie. You don't want it. You don't want that. You don't want the sog factor. You don't want that. If you do want it, turn this shit off right now. I don't want you watching it. I don't want your clicks. Delete your cookies. Unsubscribe. Fuck off. That being said, you do want a little bit of the milk on the cookie. You don't want nothing. You want to know that you got that milk on there. That's why you're dunking. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate a proper dunk for you. Then I'm going to eat the cookie. And then we can go back and discuss exactly what happened there. So pay close attention. What you just witnessed there was a classic flawless dunk. Larry Bird himself would have been impressed with that one. What, you don't know who Larry Bird is? Ain't you never watched Space Jam? I'm fixing a divot! Now you probably saw that I really got this baby down in there. I mean, I went deep, basically right up to the fingernail. I wanted to get as much milk coverage as possible without moistening the tips of my little fingies. And that's my preference, you know, it's up to you. Maybe you just want to go a half-sies. Sometimes I go a half-sies. Sometimes I go all in, but just don't drop the cookie. Make sure your grip is firm and tight on the other end because that's a disaster. I would say that the ideal dunking time is between 1 and 3 seconds. 1 second is probably not quite enough. Anything close to the edge of 3 or beyond is like, whoa! Relax. That middle ground of 2, 2.5, that's gonna do ya. To be honest, this is not an exact science. I usually go by instinct. I'm not counting out loud while I'm dunking because I'm not one of them Rain Men. But for the sake of scientific purposes and studification, I am going to try to figure out how long it is based on my own feelings. Let's do a little bit of a counting exercise, shall we? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. You know what? That was good. Two, like I said, more than that, I gotta eat it. So, I waited too long. That's a danger. I'm getting distracted. You really gotta eat it right away before it all falls apart. Now you've got the rest of this cookie to deal with, of course. What do you do with that? You just eat it as is. Don't double dip the cookie. Don't try to dunk this sad, shitty half in there. Don't be greedy. Be happy with what you had. You enjoyed it. Now go back to just the cookie. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You also have to make sure that you don't drip anywhere. So, you know, when you pull it out, make sure you drop a few drips back into the glass. That's another reason you want to eat it quick. You don't get anything messy. Otherwise, everyone will get mad at you because you dripped milk on stuff. I shouldn't have to explain that to you. Just be clean. A lot of people ask me, well, how many of my cookies should I be dunking in the milk? Do you dunk 100% of the cookies? Do you dunk every other cookie? Do you dunk the first half but not the second half? It depends on your feelings. Well, there is an answer to this that's in fact very precise. I figured out the perfect way to eat Oreos. As you know, you should be eating a row at a time. That's the proper way to do it. It's just the right amount of cookies. It's a good snack size, a good dessert, a good meal, really. So knowing that, and knowing that, of course, there are 12 cookies in a row, you can divide that up into a nice little way that I have done. And now I will share that method with you. I call it the 3 at a time method. What that means is you eat 3 Oreo cookies and then you take a drink of milk to wash those down. This is the perfect method so that you can enjoy the taste of the Oreos unfiltered and as they are, preserved in your mouth. But then you get to enjoy the washing down of the cookies with the milk. You start fresh, you cleanse your palate, you go back in for more cookies. It's not too much milk, it's not too much cookie, it's the correct way to do things. Now, I haven't addressed the dunking yet, that's just eating and drinking. That's a whole bonus milk tip for you. As it is that you're eating 3 cookies at a time and then taking a drink of milk, well, here's what I like to do. I'll dunk those first 2 cookies, sure, but the third cookie, I'm gonna go in on that one totally dry because I know I'm getting a good, healthy milk drink right after that third cookie. And that way I can really enjoy, once again, that contrast between the dry and the wet. You need both. After eating a dunked cookie, you're not going to be as thirsty because the milk is already on there. It's a different sensation. It is also a good thing, but you want to have both. You don't want to discount the classic nature of just eating a pure cookie on its own. You get to have them together. The 3 at a time method is also nice. It measures out how much you're eating. It helps you keep track of how much milk you should be drinking because you know, oh, I've got this many drinks left, so I should be at about the halfway point once I've eaten 6 cookies, etc. It's a nice way to measure yourself out and understand the process. Wow! Now, the final question that I get asked a lot that I'm going to address in this episode is, what do you do when the milk gets too low? Maybe you've got some super wide cup, like you're eating it out of a bowl or a trough, and then you can just keep dunking as much as you want. But for most people, in most cases, even mine, there's gonna come a point where you can't dunk anymore because you gotta reach really far down to the bottom of the glass. Now, there are a few options here. Number one, you could take your fingers with your hand and really reach, squeeze them down into the bottom and try to make that work, but it's potentially messy, probably not something you want to deal with. Option number 2, you could fill it up with more milk. Problem with that is, of course, that upsets the balance of the 3 at a time and then the row, and you don't have too much milk, and you don't want to be drinking extra milk at the end without cookies, because why would you just drink milk without cookies? It's fucking bananas. So my answer to you on this one is pretty simple. Stop dunking. You had enough dunking. You can dunk the first maybe 6 to 9 cookies, some variation thereof. But after that, no, you're done. You had enough. You had enough. Just enjoy the cookies. They're fine. I know some people out there want to dunk them all. I say that's ridiculous. The Oreo is good as is. It's milk's favorite cookie. Milk is not Oreo's favorite drink. Remember that, because it's a subtle but very important distinction. So let's go over what we've learned here today for my patented good old-fashioned milk math. Number 1, skim to 2. Pick a glass that suits your needs. Keep your fingers dry. Dunk for a couple of seconds and that's it. Don't let it drip. Eat it quick. Stop when the time comes. That's all there is to it. Very simple. That's the way to eat Oreos and how to dunk them into milk, drink them with milk. That's how I do it. It's how I've been doing it for over a decade now. I have lots of experience in this field, and if you question me, if you have any backlash to my thoughts, my opinions on this method, well, I guess leave them in the comments down below and I'll respond to them in a clear, concise, and polite manner. I'd love to have a healthy debate with you. It'd also be kind of you to like and subscribe and Boy, is there a bell you can ring. Ring in the new year, am I right? Speaking of the new year, lots of great things planned for 2020. Don't think I'm going anywhere on you. Of course, there's some really exciting new flavors and some returns of some old favorites coming from the old Nabisco factory later this year. Plus, finally, the long-anticipated launch. That's right. Of my gaming-themed streaming network where I'm going to play video games and eat Oreo. So subscribe and tell your friends, and you don't want to miss any of that stuff. It's going to be really, really excellent. Until I see you guys again, keep on dunking, baby. And you know what I say? Oreo!
How's the cookie? You want to know? It's the Oreo Review Show.